Hi all. I thought I'd just do a quick video to talk a little bit about the Indigenous land-based learning reflection, so you feel more comfortable. It is due just in a couple of days. So basically, you engaged with the video, some very different kind of learning, and we're just going to get started with thinking about the kind of writing that really asks you to think deeply about things and think differently about things. And we're building some critical thinking skills, ways you can analyze issues and approach things in different ways. So we're going to start that with the land-based learning assignment.
Are you doing something?
So basically, there are 3 prompts. You can see the questions there and we'll go over them, answer each prompt in about 250 words. But again, this is more about demonstrating some real deep engagement with the content, with the learning that you did with Sweetgrass Roots Collective, and not so much about, exact word count. So I'm never worried about exact word count, as long as you are around this area. It's not like way more or way too short, and we're just not really able to assess how you engaged with the learning. Like that's that's what I'll say about that. So it's about 750 words total. So you don't need a title page, you don't need a formal intro or inclusion. Just follow the 3 prompts. You might want to title them prompt 1, 2, 3. You don't need to paste the questions in there. So basically, you're just really trying to engage and think about ways you received the knowledge from these teachings from Sweetgrass Roots Collective. So make sure that you're really engaging with it and not just, you can bring other things in. Maybe that made you think about something differently, or you wanted to reflect on something that you thought before, and maybe this kind of knowledge pushed up against it. But you also need to really demonstrate that you are engaging with the learning that Sweetgrass Roots Collective is asking us to engage with. So there's no rubric for this because everyone's really going to engage in different ways. You might even want to, put a picture there of the non-human relation that you're going to tell a story about. You might want to, I'm always about different ways of approaching assignments. I love when folks are like, really engage with it a different way, a poem, even, an arts informed piece. So maybe you want to draw, about your relationship and take a picture and upload that in there. That is awesome, amazing. There's so many different ways to demonstrate knowledge, right? There's not just one way. The written form is not the only way. And I think Indigenous methodologies teach us that around storytelling, right? And how we pass on knowledge in different ways and not only prioritizing one specific way. So the 3 prompts. The first one is really just share a story about a relationship with a non-human relation of ours. So with a plant, with an animal, with one of the elements. So you'll see the exercise that we did. So Sweetgrass Roots and I sat down at that table and we each shared a story. So you're going to do that too. So that's the first one. So you're getting kind of warmed up. Tell us a story. The second one, at one point, Joss talks about the colonizer squirm. So, you might want to, when you're watching the lecture, jot down what point that happens at, and then you can kind of go back to it and listen to it a couple of times if you want to. But really thinking about how your own ways of being and knowing have, just one second. So really just thinking about how your own ways of being and knowing are shaped by colonization. And again, it's always a good idea just to sort of pick one thing and really dig into that. So, thinking about, I used the example in tutorial this week when after I think the second lockdown that we were in, I took my 2 kids to a patio and we were having like our first meal in a restaurant on a patio. And there's all these plants kind of lining the edge, like sort of shrubs. And my kids were just like so excited to be in public and they were like hugging every one of the trees. And of course I was like, no, stop that, right? Like our relationship to plants is often around like aesthetics. It's not around being in relation with them. And so for me, that was like a real moment. And Joss and I talked about this that day, about ways that my being in the world has been shaped by colonization. So I felt embarrassment that my kids would be hugging those shrubs or trees, which, you know, they didn't hold any of that because that hasn't been pushed out of them yet. The institutions haven't told them that that's not something that they should do. Sorry, that's like the 5th time I've had to stop because my kids keep asking me to do something. So basically, that's what I would answer, right? I would think through this piece around how things, you know, how innately we do relate to non-human relations, and you know, we don't feel embarrassment or squirm about that, but then that gets pushed out because of ways that settler colonialism has told us who and what we can be in relation to. Number 3 is really picking a specific teaching that spoke to you from Joss or Jennifer. So it could be like the Thanksgiving address, the wampum belt. Joss did the teaching around the two-row wampum belt, any of the kind of pieces that really spoke to you in the lecture. So just pick one specific one and then just talk about how that pushed up against maybe knowledge or things you knew to be true. And ways that, you know, health and wellness are constructed in our society. So you're picking a very specific piece that you want to kind of dig into more. So you'll submit by Friday at midnight. And you know that on the, I'll just pull it up, but quickly here, if you need an extension, you're going to request it here. And so you're just telling us your name, your tutorial, and between 1 to 7 days when you're going to hand it in. You don't need a reason. And I'm going to do that for all of the assignments. So I'll keep loading those up, those portals where you can ask for an extension. If you have specific questions, send them to your TA. If you're like, am I on the right track? I'm thinking about this, just quickly send an email out, but do that, you know, today or tomorrow, because your TAs are also human and have lots of things on their plates and all their own work and everything. So make sure you're giving folks time to get back to you. So it's due Friday at midnight. And if you need an extension, ask for one. If you do ask for an extension, it will take maybe a little bit longer to get it back to you. It won't be the 1 week. And yeah, any questions, send them to your TA. Have a lovely day.